artists have never sold more art than today. What is happening is truly mind-blowing. The end of this year, 2020, will be, for fine art and photography art sales, the biggest quarter we have ever seen globally in the entire history of the internet. You can literally go on Google Trends, type in where to buy art online, and you will see that the search volumes on those keywords are the highest they have ever been. And of course, the main reason for this is the pandemic. And we don't know how long the pandemic will last, but what we do know is that today is the biggest opportunity for artists to sell their art. I've seen people going from 0 sales, trying for years, to 6 figures in a couple of months, just because of the pandemic. And so that's why we are making this video, how to sell art online, fine art and photography, without having a website, without having sales experience, without having anything, with the simplest of methods available that can easily generate 6 figures a year. Let's first quickly talk about some of the factors that made this year possible, so that we can understand why art sales online are booming. But first, let's thank the video sponsor of today, which is liking this video, because it's partially because of your likes that this video can remain, or this channel can remain to be sponsorship free. So thanks a lot for that. Now let's go further. First of all, we have the holiday season, which is for most industries the most important season when it comes to sales. We have Christmas, we have Halloween, we have Black Friday, we even have, depending on which country you live in, National Entrepreneur Day, which is something that nobody seems to be celebrating. Anyway, and of course, because of this, there are a lot of gifts that need to be bought before they are given. And when it comes to art, in my humble opinion, I think that is the best gift that you can give. It's the best gift. You can literally, it doesn't even cost them, you can literally, for less than $200, buy a small artwork, give it to your friend. And if you pick the right artist, obviously somebody that is better than me, if you pick the right artist, that artwork could potentially be worth $1,000 or $10,000 10, 20, 30 years later. That is the best gift that you can give. And the second thing that is responsible for this unique moment is, of course, the fact that all the traditional places that people normally use to buy art from are closing down. We're talking about the galleries, the art fairs, the art shows, of course. And so all of that demand is moving online. And on top of that, people are forced to go and live at the suburbs, to lock themselves in their homes, and they're rethinking the decoration of their home, obviously. And so all of those home decor products are skyrocketing in sales. And so what we're seeing is not only the demand moving from offline to online, but also increasing. Because people who would normally spend their money on travels, on sports, on all types of other stuff, cannot spend that money on those things anymore. And so they have to spend it somewhere. That's where art comes in, for some people at least. And so this is a really, really interesting time. And because of that, I've seen people, as said in the intro of this video, going from selling barely anything to 6 figures in a matter of months. This is probably the only time in at least my entire life that gurus can safely say that they can actually bring people to 6 figures in a matter of months. And it's not because of their skill set, it's because of the pandemic, It's because of the pandemic. And the third thing that we're seeing that is responsible for that massive increase in art sales is that artists are liking this video in order to get some good karma that in return brings some more sales. And so if you haven't already, press the like button on this video. It also helps with the algorithm. Let's go further. Let's go towards the sales part of this video. Let's talk about the presentation of your art first, because most photographers think they are selling images, when in reality nothing could be further from the truth. They are not selling images. This is wrong. And why do I say photographers? Because photographers have more of this problem because of the nature of their medium than painters. What are they selling then? They are selling objects with 3 dimensions instead of 2 dimensions, with a particular volume, a particular feel, with materials, a wooden frame or a metal frame, with a particular texture, with a particular surface. Is it printed on paper, fine art paper, or photographic paper, or something else? And it's that object that people are buying and what that object represents, not the print that is printed on top of that object. If it would just be the print, then people might as well go to IKEA and have a nice little whatever, In other words, selling stuff is about selling stuff. You actually have to sell the thing, not a photo of the thing, If you would, let's say, go from door to door selling wine, what would you bring with you? Bottles of wine, of course. You wouldn't bring a catalog showing the wine. No, people want to know how the bottle looks, how it feels, the color of the wine. Does it look fancy or not? How they want to know how much people think they have paid for that bottle. Questions like that, and they want to see that. They don't want to pinpoint it in a catalog. And the same goes for selling art. If you're selling photography or paintings, you have to show them as an object. Which materials, which paper, which frame, behind the glass or without the glass. You have to show that. And I want to remind you that you don't need a website to do this. If you have a website, sure, put it on the shopping, whatever shizzles, cool. But if you don't have that, go on Instagram, in the stories, or Instagram Live, or YouTube, or whatever you have, whatever platform that you use, that you have an audience on, perhaps a mailing list if you have some people interested in that mailing list. And so you literally take your phone and you go to, you go to a particular artwork that you have on paper, for example, and then you explain why you like that paper. And then you, in 1, 2 sentences, 3 sentences, 4 sentences, and then you go to another work with a different paper, and then you explain why you like that paper even more, because it's smoother or whatever, You show the materials, you show it as an object. Now, the point of this all is that you make it very easy for people to imagine how it would be to own that particular piece, to hang that particular piece in their home. And selling is all about friction. The least friction that you can create, the better your sales will go. And so you want it to be very easy for people to imagine the object that you are selling. So how does that look in practicality? It looks something like this. You create 40 stories and you post 10 of them each week, explaining stuff about your art as we explained earlier. And then people will react. Some people will even say, hey, how much is it for this piece? Or you put those prices into your stories themselves. That's a very good thing to do. And as a result, a lot of people will not necessarily say, hey, I want to buy this, but they will say something else. Hey, I like this piece a lot. Or they will be surprised. Oh, I didn't know that you could also print photographs on fine art paper. I thought it was only photographic paper. Whatever they will say, they will react. From those people that will react, obviously not everybody will buy it, but some will. If you turn that reaction to your story into a conversation, you will see that some of those people will convert and buy your art. That's how it looks. It's that simple, really. Now, when I say this in one-on-one sessions, explain this process, people respond to me, yeah, but Dries, I'm not entertaining. Me in front of a camera or explaining, that's nothing for me. When the truth is that doesn't matter. You don't need to be entertaining. This is not television. This is not Hollywood. This is you can be an awkward version of yourself. And that is to some extent even... there is some strange pleasure in awkwardness. You don't need to be entertained. The reason that people are saying this is because they want to talk themselves out of it. They use the entertaining talk as an excuse. The truth is that today is probably the most boring time in the history of humanity. People are locked up in their homes. They cannot do anything. And so in the land of the blind, one eye is king. Your awkwardness, your realness is probably even to some extent fun for people. Another mistake that I see artists make in a process like this is that they think that you need extreme sales skills in order to pull this off. And as a result, what happens is that they start fantasizing about an extreme process with weeks of preparation, content to warm their audience up, and then some advertisement stuff, and a whole big event. And as a result, they then are afraid because this whole event is way too big. It's overwhelming. And then they blame their fear, when in reality, they were the ones that created that fear in the first place as an excuse. And so I want to point out that this doesn't need to be complex at all. This can be as simple as an Instagram flash sale. A very simple moment where you pour yourself a glass of wine and you show some work and you say that it's for sale and you see what reactions come. It can be as simple as that. Now, the reason that art is thing so big is because it all comes from that traditional art vibe where you would have galleries that have solo shows and prepare for weeks, sometimes months on end in order to promote those shows. And then you as an artist, you would go there and you see some private openings, public opening, whatever, and you think that is how to sell art. And that is definitely a way. That is definitely a way. I know artists, I know people who put weeks, months on end in a launch and then sell for 7 figures. And they usually do a couple of those launches a year. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4. And so that's possible. But it's insane. I mean, that is very, very, very hard. And if you think about those things, it's just way too overwhelming. But you could, like, you don't need to warm up your audience, really. If you're an artist and you have gathered, let's say, 5,000 followers on Instagram over the past years, then that audience is warm to some extent. Those are warm leads and you don't have to warm them up again. Like that's just not necessary. Make it simple for yourself. Besides that, a lot of artists, they have never sold a work in their life. And so they are thinking about huge marketing systems with funnels that will take weeks towards a launch when they never sold a work of art in their lives. The first thing that you have to do is selling a work so that you validate the fact that people are willing to pay for your work. You first need validation. You first need proof of work before you would add oil on the fire. Just make it as simple as possible. Show your art on some stories. Do an art Instagram live session, whatever. Pour yourself a glass of wine. And if you sell one painting and you only make $100 in profit, then that is a victory. That is a victory, because if you can do it once, you can also do it twice. And if you can do it twice, you can do it 10 times. And if you can do it 10 times, you can do it 100 times. And if you can do it 100 times, you're basically a full-time artist. And so that one sale is a victory. That is how you have to look at it. Important in this whole process is that you don't give in to the fear of not looking like a professional. Let me tell you a little secret that took me years to understand. Amateurism, oftentimes, most of the time, sells way more than professionalism. Because in amateurism, there is some kind of trustworthiness that is so powerful and so essential in any sales process. And by the way, during these times, everybody looks like an amateur. I've seen galleries who've never sold online, who then go online and their online viewing rooms kind of suck. With all due respect, I mean, there are not a lot of people coming to those viewing rooms, and so everybody is trying, everybody is struggling, art fairs, shows, galleries, everybody is struggling. This is the time where struggling is allowed. People are learning this new behavior, this new type of thing of selling art online. Now, one of the best sales tricks that you can use during a flash sale like this is discounts. So let's talk a little bit about discounts, because a lot of people in the art world think that discounts are not done. That is not the way to sell art, because you devalue your art. But nothing is further from the truth. People, galleries, artists are discounting their work behind the scenes. You might not see it when you go to a gallery with a discount on like that. You don't see those things, but behind the scenes, discounts are happening. Also in the higher regions, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 for a work. Those people that can afford those types of works are used to discounts. They're used to that, and they are definitely not afraid to ask discounts. And so you have to incorporate that in your price, and you have to use discounts, especially in a moment like this. If you don't know anything about pricing your art and how to incorporate that into your price, you can watch one of my videos on pricing your art. I have a whole series on that, and it's completely free. There are art blogs out there that are charging $90 for a pricing strategy course for artists. I mean, don't get confused. Those courses are not better than my free videos. And truth be told, I for a very long time also thought that you shouldn't discount your work. I remember when I was showing art during an art fair in London during the Friese Art Week, there was this woman, she came over to me and she knew from my art, from a magazine article that she read in some famous magazine. I think it was Vice or Frubis or something like that. And she was blown away by my art. She was extremely positive about this piece, and we had a great conversation. And at the end of the conversation, she stops and she asks, or she says, Dries, I will come at the end of the fair, Sunday, and I will buy some work from you. And then she paused. And then we even talked a little bit further. And she kept on being positive. And I was so naive. I didn't even knew at that time that artists usually discount their work at the end of the fair because they don't want to take all of that work with them. And that's oftentimes extra shipping fees and stuff like that. And so they discount that on the last day. And so what she was doing, this woman, she was in a very respectful way asking for a discount or letting me know that she would buy it if there is a discount. If I would have discounted my work at that moment, I would have sold it. And so I missed out on that sale. Here's the thing. The holiday season is here and people will need gifts. People have felt lonely in the last couple of months. I know for sure that I have felt lonely. And people will want to solidify their friendships, solidify the connections between them and their family members. And this Christmas will be completely different than all the other Christmases that we've seen. People might not come together, but they will need to solidify those connections. And so as an artist with beautiful gifts, you are ideally positioned to solve that problem, or at least solve it a little bit. You're never going to solve it, obviously, but a little bit. And that's good. And so send this video to an artist friend that needs to grab this opportunity. You yourself, make an art sale. Very simple one on Instagram. If you're not sure how to do that, then follow me on Instagram. I will do probably one. And then you can just copy paste everything I do. I don't care about it. As long as you do something. And so yeah, that's really it. And all of this, of course, starts with understanding how to sell art online. And so I would recommend you to watch some of my other videos on how to sell art online. I have a whole playlist that you could watch right after this video. Don't postpone on it a couple of weeks because then this moment is all over. And for the rest, my name is Dries Ketels. I hope to see you around. Good luck. Ciao, ciao.